Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 7 titled The Hub. This episode was really, really good. I enjoyed it. It had a lot of great comedy in it that I enjoyed. That's what I enjoyed most about this episode. There were some other elements, of course, that were very surprising and were very, very good. I guess hints for what we'll get, later this season. But for the most part, this episode revolved around, the agents having to trust basically the organization that they work for, and Sky being the new person who can't even go through doors because a bracelet will get stuck to the wall. She's the one who's curious and wondering, you know when Fitz and Ward go off on this mission, what's really happening in this mission, where are they, what are they doing specifically. You have to risk your life to do this, and then your entire team, we as a team can't even know what the mission is really about. So, she and Simmons go through a really funny moment. I just, the whole episode was just full of crazy moments. So, like, the girls teamed up and the guys teamed up, and it was just really good to see, Ward and Fitz have their moment, and then, Sky and Simmons have their moment too. But it was just all resulted in comedy because of, Fitz and Simmons kind of being so similar that, they try to go through things in a lighthearted manner because that's just who they are as characters. And of course, being out in the mission, Fitz and Ward, the thing with the sandwich was my favorite part when they're just like lying on the ground. He's like, it's a great day to be a rat. You're going through and looking for like infested garbage and diseases and stuff, and lo and behold, you see it. And I just love that scene. Is really funny. But in this episode, we really get to see Fitz. He goes out on a mission, and in the last episode, which I thought was going to be a lot about him, it did focus on him a little bit towards the end because he was so worried about Simmons. And in this episode, we see, sort of the aftermath of that, where he's still dealing with the fact that Ward was the one who, jumped out of the plane at the end of the episode. And so, he deals with the fact that, he was gonna do it and he just didn't do it fast enough. And so he's mad, at Ward, but he's also mad at himself because he feels like he didn't really live up, to Simmons' expectations, or he didn't really, prove to her that he cared as much because Ward was the one who jumped out of the plane. But it was really cool to see him sort of develop as a character through this episode, and Ward basically tell him and figure out like this is why he's mad. And so Ward tells him like, Simmons knows you care, and she knows you would have jumped out of that plane if I hadn't done it, before you did. So it was really cool to have that moment, and it was great to have them, both kind of stand up as agents. And obviously Ward is the, typical agent of the show, and then Fitz was kind of, super agent in training, I guess, in this episode. So it was cool to see him step up even after learning they didn't really have an extraction, and that once everything was completed, they would pretty much end up being killed. And he stood up to the plate, and he said, or he didn't say anything really, but he took the challenge on, and he decided to stay on the mission with Ward. And it was really great to see that. And then on the other side of things, we have Sky and Simmons, and their moment together was just all comedy until of course Sky really got to look through some of the information. But Simmons dealing with trying to be a good liar was hilarious to me. And I love the part, my favorite was definitely the end of that when she shot the guy, and just before that when she's looking down as if he can't hear her just because she looked down, and he's like, he's on to me, he's like, are you on comms with someone? That was a great scene too. It was just great to have them, Sky and Simmons just bond together really, because we don't get that too much. And I feel like even May had, a little bonding moment. I mean, she obviously cares about the team, and we really got to see that where when they admit, hey, I shot this guy by accident because we were trying to do this and figure things out, and we learned they don't have an extraction. May goes off the books too, and she decides, we're gonna go in and rescue our guys because we're a team and that's what we do. So it was cool to see her do that. And I love when she's going to pick them up, and she like does like the head nod out of a plane. She just looks over and is like, sup, like out of a plane. I thought that was really funny. But she was great in this episode, of course, too. And Sky, after she gets to basically go through the hub mainframe, it was great to see that even though she had the chance to look up her own information, she decided to look up, where Fitz and Ward really were. So that was really cool to see. Even though this is something that's important to her, the team is more important to her at the moment. So that was really cool to see. And we got a bit of a hint at the end that she was dropped off by a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent at an orphanage because, I would assume that that was her mother that we got to see a picture of. And, her mother's dead. So who knows what in the world that is. But Coulson and May are going to, work some magic, and they're going to figure some things out and figure out who killed her parents, or at least her mom, because her father could technically still be alive. So they're going to try to dig a little deeper and get some more information for her. But it was great to get that little hint, at the end of this episode. And then, well, I guess, just before the end, and then at the end, we see Coulson trying to get information on himself, which was really great because, when he finds out he can't even look up his own files and figure out, his recovery, it just shows that he's doubting himself more and more as, actually being Coulson. So it'll be great to see how that plays out over and over, throughout the rest of the season. But each episode, I feel like it just ramps up more and more. It's like someone says something really big, or Coulson says something really special, or he does something like this, and it just builds it up for the next episode. So after, a little drop like this where he finds out he doesn't have access to his own files, he's gonna be weary about what is and isn't true in S.H.I.E.L.D. So it'll be great to see that. But I love this episode overall. I thought it was, hilarious. The action, of course, was pretty good too, as it normally is. It's a really good action show. But great comedy. The lessons, I feel like they were sprinkled in, but they had great impact. They were mostly like at the very end of the episode. But it was really good to see just everything come together in this. And we had some really good bonding moments. Excellent comedy for this episode, which I really loved. Like I said, the sandwich thing was funny. And even when they were, when they like first took the sandwich out and he threw it, even I was thinking like, what did he just throw that for? And then he mentioned the dogs. But great episode, great comedy, great leads for, plot points in future episodes. I'm really excited for, whatever happened with Sky's family. Like I said, her dad could still be alive, but, we'll have to wait and see for that, and we have to figure out, wait and see if Coulson figures out, what he really is, and of course we'll have to figure out what he really is too. So I'm excited for that. And also, the trailer for next week's episode, it wasn't insanely clear product placement for Thor, but the story leads from Thor, so go check that out, I guess, before you watch next week's episode. So now I have to rush and see it, even though I tried to see it anyway. Sold out. But definitely love this episode. Comment below, let me know what you thought. Favorite part, least favorite part. What do you think about next week's episode if you saw the trailer? And if not, it goes from Thor. It's about whatever staff is in the movie, I don't know, but it goes from Thor into the episode. So what do you guys think of that? Do you think it's just like too big of a product placement type thing, or do you guys think it's really cool that it leads in from Thor, which just came out, and it goes directly into the show? Because I think personally it's really cool, and for most fans who really love Thor and who are really watching this show, not just because like all the Avengers is good, you watch it because you really love like Marvel stuff or comics in general. I think it's a really cool idea, especially since they obviously knew when the movie was coming out, so they planned to have it like, hey, after the opening weekend, we're gonna have Thor come out, or I guess a week after Thor's been out, we're gonna have a Thor-based episode, at least an episode that follows right after the movie of Thor with some of the objects from the film. So I think it's a cool idea. But comment below, let me know what you guys think about product placement or not, and this episode in general. Thanks for watching.